Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a blast today. Jee Hae is about to come on. The theme today is master your message, and we're diving into that and having some amazing conversations all day long. So we're going to dive into this message that is super unique to our audience, which is about dog training and animal training and animal behavior and how that mixes with personal development and mindset. It's going to be incredible. Jee Hae is going to bring massive value for us. Before that, let's talk about the sponsor message. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a high achiever, and you know you're meant to get your message out to the world, you want to impact more people, you really want to be a purpose-driven entrepreneur, you want to be successful in communicating that, you want to really dial in your presence, your visibility, and establish a platform where you get your message out in a big way. That's exactly what we do at Burn It Up Coaching, and I love to help people with. So if you want to find out more, I can tell you about our coaching programs and masterminds. Send me an email, chris@beergps.com, or find me on Facebook and message me there. Would love to talk to you and help you get ignited, fired up, and get your message out to the world. Next up is going to be the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Miss S. Perrant. And S. Perrant says, I appreciate everything that is expressed and conveyed when I listen to Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self with Chris Burns. It helps me to go a step forward towards greater success and a path of enlightenment. So thank you so much, S. Perrant. If you're listening, if you're watching, give us a review. Let us know what you love. Subscribe to the show. Stay tuned. Keep listening to the episodes because we keep pumping out gold and empowerment and helping you become your greatest possible self. So thanks so much in advance for doing that, letting us know what you love. Go to beergps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store to be able to do that. Thank you so much, and I look forward to having you keep tuning in and hearing about what you really love about this show. Thank you. Now, I'm going to introduce Jee Hae in just a second. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes because I know this woman is a powerhouse. She's actionable. She's no BS. She's in your face and she's real and she does it with love and compassion and she just loves what she does. It absolutely brings her alive and you could feel it. The energy just radiates off her. So make sure you stay tuned all the way through till the end because you never know what one idea could transform your life or the life of one of your pets in this specific case. So let's introduce her and bring her on. Jee Hae was born and raised in American Samoa and is the first ever Samoan dog trainer. She loves the outdoors, often takes her dogs and clients hiking and kayaking, and actually started the Adventure Buddy Initiative Challenge earlier this year to urge people to enjoy the outdoors with their dogs. Aww. Her goal is to encourage dog owners to get up and get outside, using adventure and outdoor therapy to help promote physical and mental health for dogs and for humans. And we're blessed to have her here with us today. Jee Hae, are you ready to rock the house, girl?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
We're doing it. We're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you for being here. I love the light and the flower. You're just radiant. You're just shining.
I broke it all out for you today. A lot of people don't know this, but the flower is actually part of my branding too. It's actually in my logo. So wow. Hello, flower. That's Miss G.
Oh my gosh, Miss G. Well, we're going to bring some massive value to our audience. You are on fire. I loved our conversation before we came on the show. I know this is going to be just as awesome, just as epic, and you've really been showing your support with the show as well, tuning in and talking about all the different episodes. And we're talking about Misty Gilbert and all these amazing people who are showing up and adding value. So we're going to dive right into the message because that's something that's super important for you, getting your message out there. And in terms of mastering your message, Jee Hae, what comes to mind for you when you hear about that?
It took a while for me to understand that I had something valuable to offer to the world. And once I understood that and I stepped into my ownership of that, it was like it ignited a passion inside me that I didn't even know that I had. Yeah. So for me, I always tell everybody, I'm like, hey, I'm a dog trainer. What's your superpower? Because I'm in the business of saving lives. Yes. Because we all love our dogs. We all want to live our best lives possible together. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to help dog owners with.
I love it. I love it. The superpower, and especially what I'm hearing is like you're so tapped into personal development and mindset, and this growth mindset, which is super awesome. And you're connected with influencers and people who are doing marketing and sales. And on the other side of things, like you're doing something that many people aren't doing. There's a lot of people in the online space who are doing like regular coaching, mindset coaching, business coaching, life coaching, etc. And you are in the space and you're bringing a different service to the market, and I really love it because I think it's super unique. And you're using like terminology like what's your superpower. Okay, I've heard that before, like like from other branding people and life coaches and business coaches, but to hear it from you is just super cool because it's like, wow, this stuff is really getting out there. It's really making a difference in all walks of life, and it really does make a difference for everyone. So I love that you're totally a product of the product. It's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Um, it was pretty cool because what you don't see back here is I've got my crew back here.
I saw something moving.
I've got my crew back here, and my partner just came home. So, hey, go lay down. You'll hear me say that here and there. But it was super cool because actually the leadership, the personal development stuff for me is probably around 2 years old. It's still relatively new to me, so it's great that I can offer my experience, my insight, and a little bit of background as far as that's concerned. But I think it's super important for people to know that dog trainers used to be dog owners first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's so common for trainers to be put on this pedestal automatically, and people don't really get to see the behind the scenes. They don't get to understand that, like, it didn't just happen overnight, guys.
Yeah.
We struggled once upon a time just like you. The difference between you and me is just experience and education under our belt, because we're in the business of trying to turn dog owners into dog people. It's different. It's sort of we're trying to add different meaning behind that, because the man domesticated dog a couple million years ago, and because of that, we've started bringing dogs into our lives and into our homes and into our houses. And with that shift comes a whole other world of issues that a lot of people weren't completely prepared to foresee. So with that said, if you're ready, I'm just going to go ahead and get started on this whole thing.
I love it. You're just like ready to go. You're fired
Ready
up.
to go. I'm like
I
trying
wanted
to
to
remember
mention.
that I've got a time.
Yeah, I
Time limit.
want to mention something real quick though, because this is you mentioned about the relationship with the dogs, with the animals, right? And I think it's super cool that we can see, hey, like, is this dog behaving and responding how I want it to? And I think what a lot of people don't know or recognize is that is a reflection of our leadership ability and how we see ourselves and our confidence in ourselves, our ability to be an alpha, so to speak, and invite the people around us or whatever it is to make things happen in our reality, in our world. And I think that it's really cool that there's that dynamic, that it's not just about people, and it's not just about dogs. It's like the whole things come together for it. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about the dog training, specifically what you help your clients to do. You mentioned to create dog people, right? Dog owners into dog people. Tell us a little bit more about what your clients come to you for.
A lot of clients, or a lot of potential clients, hit me up for dog training.
Okay.
So when people say dog trainer, they automatically assume, oh, sit, down, come, stay. They automatically just assume commands. Now, the whole idea of turning dog owners into dog people is we want dog owners to be obsessed about it. We want you to be obsessed about learning everything you can possibly learn on how to improve your relationship with your dog, because honestly, that's really what dog training is. It's communication between dog and owner, creating a language, building teamwork, and just helping each other thrive and stuff like that. So we're kind of, can you hear me?
Yep, you're back. I hear you now. You're good. You're good. So it's really like helping people thrive, right? Like that's the
helping
big,
people do.
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I want to go back into the journey too and talk about like how did you get into this position of being a dog trainer and all this mindset work and personal development. Tell us about the journey.
It was, so 2013 was when I got my first dog. And I've had dogs my entire life back in Samoa, but they were outside dogs. They were property dogs. We never really, they were just outside dogs.
Right.
So 2013 was my first time being an actual dog owner. I went to the shelter and I got a puppy. And it was a super, super chaotic phase of my life, you should say. I was fresh out of the Marine Corps. I had no job, no income, no structure, nothing to hold me accountable, just nothing to do. I had nothing. So I actually, at that time, in that phase in my life, I was also, which is funny because this seemed to be a theme with a lot of the guests who've been on this podcast. In that phase of my life, I was also in a very abusive relationship. At the time, it was an on and off again relationship. It hadn't moved on to that abusive portion quite yet, but we were definitely in the early stages of that. So again, it was super chaotic, super depressing for me. I was down, I was unemployed, I had nothing going on for me. And somebody actually put a word in my ear, and a friend of mine actually whispered in there and said, "Hey, you know what? You should get a puppy," which, in hindsight is probably one of the, worst choices to, one of the worst things to do to yourself, because it was basically my way of distracting myself from my misery. I needed something to take care of. I needed something to distract me from how unhappy I was in my life. So basically, before I even got this puppy, I had put this whole idea into it that a puppy will solve my problems. A puppy will make me happy. A puppy will make my life better. This was before I even found my puppy. So I have this whole preconceived notion that this little being was going to solve everything. It didn't.
It's like it's the external. It's like that people want this external thing to solve all their problems and to make everything go away, make everything better. And it's like, if only that were the case, but it's not. We really got to face our stuff and confront the uncomfortable and deal and process with our emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so luckily for me, I got a really, really great dog. Great tempered puppy, was very was confident, very respectful, was a very great tempered dog, because it could have easily gone the other way. Could have gotten a puppy who had a nervous, fearful temperament.
Totally.
And I get to, not that I'm on this end of the spectrum, I get to see that with a lot of dog owners too. I could have gotten a puppy with a nervous, fearful temperament. I could have created a whole plethora of issues that would have led me down the path of what I do now with other dog owners. And we see that a lot. There's a huge issue with dog aggression. In the past 10, 15 years, hell, in the past 20 years, there's been a dramatic increase in aggression cases throughout the U.S., throughout the world, actually. So it was, for me, I call it fate. It was fated that I would have gotten this puppy that would have helped me with my anxiety and PTSD and self-loathing and all of that stuff going on. So could have easily gone the other way. So I'm so grateful that it didn't. But we had our own challenges as well. So a little backpedaling a little bit before that, I grew up in a very abusive household. My parents were abusive parents. My dad was an abusive alcoholic. So and I joke about it today because I'll always say, here's my mom. My mom used to rule with an iron fist. And that was my whole entire childhood. And I actually joined the Marine Corps to get away from all of that.
Wow.
So that was, I'm so grateful for that opportunity to be able to use that as a boost, as a leg boost up into the world, because I desperately needed it at the time. I have no idea what I would be like or where I would be if it wasn't for that. So
to create that like self-discipline and who you were. And like, it's funny because when we're with our parents growing up in our parents' house, it's almost like we relate to ourselves as the son or daughter of parents, like they're the king and queen and we're just, like the prince or the princess or whatever it might be. But once we get out into the world, we recognize we don't have that like protection. We have to fend for ourselves. We have to be responsible. We're the creator. We're no longer, dependent on someone else. And I think that's so powerful because it's like sink or swim. You got to learn to swim. You got to learn how to do it. So you got this puppy and you had it. It was a great experience for you. How did that evolve into wanting to train other people's dogs?
I had to learn how to train my puppy first.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to communicate. Like I said, I had this whole entire preconceived notion that this puppy was going to solve everything. And then when I got this puppy, it was peeing in the house, it was pottying in the house. Yep. It was chewing some things. And again, guys, like I had a great puppy. So in hindsight, like my dog didn't even put me through half of the stuff that I experienced with my dog owner clients. Yeah. What I had, because I had this huge unrealistic expectation from my puppy, it affected the way I treated and was able to communicate with it. It was more of a, which is funny because that in hindsight, it's sort of how I've navigated my relationships before then. It was one of those things like, why can't you read my mind? Why can't you like just know how to do what I want? I can't do that with a puppy. Dogs don't understand what we're saying. They don't understand what we want. So about 7 months down the road, my dog actually started to run away from me. It would start running away from me because we did a lot of off-leash hiking. And I didn't understand anything about actually off-leash training because I thought that just because my dog was good off-leash meant that it was off-leash training. It wasn't. It wasn't. So around 7 months old, my dog started going through puberty. It started exploring its options and it started chasing everything that moved. And the turning point for me was the day my dog ran off and I thought he was gone forever. Wow. It was, if you've ever experienced that feeling, you would completely understand how that felt. It's just a sickening feeling in your stomach, Yeah. So I went back to my home. It was about 2.5 miles away from the hiking spot. I walked back to my home and walked back to our hiking spot and walked back to my home. And then on my way back, my dog was actually trotting down the road, headed home. And I was so relieved and happy. And then when I called him, my dog looked at me and I could clearly see that he was deciding whether or not it was safe to come all the way to me.
Wow.
I could see it in his eyes where he was debating whether or not he should come all the way to me. And that was it. That was the day that I decided that something needed to change, that I sucked as a dog owner and I needed to fix this because I've created a distrust. I've created a gap in trust here. The fact that I was so relieved to see my dog that I called him, "Hey, come here." Because I was relieved, but it came out like that. It came out like, "Hey, come here right now. How dare you run away from me?" Yeah. And my dog looked at me and he goes, "I don't know." I don't know, but he came and he came. And as soon as he did that, I had to do everything I could in there. I'm like, you know what? He came to you. I don't care how angry you are right now. You reward him.
Love. Yeah, love.
You reward him for coming to you. Yeah. And that was when it's crazy that I completely remember this because that was the moments that I can distinctly remember that me saying to myself, I need to get a hold of my shit.
Yeah.
I need to get a hold of my emotions. I needed professional help. I needed to do something, because at the time it was just me and my puppy.
Yeah.
And if anything had happened to this dog, to this puppy at the time, I wasn't in a healthy enough space
Mm.
in my life to have been able to cope with that.
Right. You would have felt like it was just another heartbreak, just another letdown, like you had responsibility over this creature, over this being, and you like let yourself down, if it would have gone the other way. And that's like how much more heartbreak can you suffer if you're already, feeling like you got let down by relationships and yourself or whatever the case might be, and I think it's really amazing that it turned out how it did, and then you continue progressing forward. So you made the decision, like it wasn't gonna stay like this anymore. What help did you seek? How did you move forward from there?
I hopped on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so I started tracking down other trainers, and I came across Michael Ellis. And he's a very popular sport dog trainer, and he's a very popular dog trainer in the sport dog world. And through Michael Ellis, I eventually found Off Leash Canine, which is actually my competitor right now. And I found a plethora of other dog trainers. And then it wasn't until I discovered Mr. Sean O'Shea from the Good Dog Training that he's actually my mentor. And it wasn't until I discovered him that I realized, aha, this is it, because he was the same thing. He was tying dog training into leadership training, into personal development. And I started learning from him, and I just started soaking in any piece of article and information, everything that I could possibly find. I was like a sponge. I soaked it all up, because I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a talent that I didn't even know that I had. I sort of just discovered it on my path. And with that, I also moved to Florida in 2014. So that was 5 years ago. I moved to Florida in 2014, and I actually started interning and apprenticing with another dog trainer. And so I've learned a lot from her, because she coached me. She was she was also a mentor. She coached me a lot about being aware of self-awareness, owning your emotions. It was like a huge light bulb for me that dog training is about communication. And if you're not a good communicator, you're going to struggle with your dog. Plain and simple. And if you have unresolved issues in your past, if you've got underlying anger and resentment, if you've got any of those, we call them negative emotions, those things just serve to hold you back. But once you understand what you're feeling, what those emotions are, and then once you're aware of them and you do a little bit of digging, right?
Yeah.
The first step to all of that is self-awareness. Once you're aware of those emotions, you start unpacking it. And so for a period of time there, I would, every time I would get frustrated or get mad, I would say, hey, you know what? Why am I mad? I'm mad because this dog's not doing what I want it to do. Why does that make you mad? Because I never learned how to be a great communicator. Because of what I've had going on in my childhood. Right. And on the flip side of that, also, how long does a person need to get to a point in their life where they start stepping up and owning their actions and owning their choices, and stop blaming your past and stop blaming your parents for the reason why you turned out the way that you did today? So again, around that time frame, it was like a light bulb moment. I said, hey, you know what? I'm tired of living this way. If I really want to pursue this as a career, because I absolutely love working with dogs, if I want to pursue this as a career and I want to be successful at it, I need to put some serious effort into mastering my shit, myself.
Yeah. Love it. That's so powerful, because when you recognize what's been holding you back. It's the past, it's the traumas, it's the guilt, it's the shame, it's the negative emotions. You start to process that, and you start to dissolve it, you start to integrate it, you start to break through it, whatever the case might be. You're so much more of an expansive, bold, powerful leader, person, and force to be reckoned with in the world. So I love that, along the journey you said, like, hey, I get to be responsible for me. And I'm sure you were surrounded by mentors who were teaching you about the mindset of being a leader. And if you're being a leader and things are getting in the way, then that's going to rub off onto your relationship and your communication with your dog. And so you get to handle your shit, like you said, right? And anyone who's having those challenges with the communication with themselves, that's like the first thing to do.
Absolutely. And it was also, I was never a patient person. It wasn't really it wasn't my strong suit. And my job working with dogs has given me, for some reason, it's given me an endless well of patience, and it's affected my entire life. Like, I used to be I was a road rager. I was that driver who'd be like, oh, stop cutting me off. And I feel like ever since the whole personal development stuff, it started, anyone could cut me off in traffic. I'm like, oh. It just stopped affecting my day. And it was so crazy, because now I get to sit here on this side and say, it's crazy how much power I've given to these minute details, these insignificant details. It's crazy how much power I gave them to ruin my whole day. Because this was also like I was in the peak, or in the tip, I don't know, in the peak of my PTSD a couple of years ago. I was just angry at everything and everyone. And it showed in everything I did. I couldn't go anywhere without being nauseous. When I first started I first started working with dogs, I would actually pull over off the side of the road and throw up, because I was so anxious to be surrounded with people, to actually initiate contact, look someone in the eye, and hold a conversation. And it was crazy, and then before that, it was anywhere I went, I would avoid eye contact. I wouldn't look anyone in the eye. I was just petrified of making small talk with strangers, and it's making me a little emotional now, because it just wasn't that long ago when all of that happened. And it's crazy that now I get to, with all of that stuff that's going on, 4 years later, I'm freaking striking up conversations with strangers in the elevator. It's crazy.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I love that you're present to your transformation and your growth. And I think it's really amazing that you're letting it land, and appreciating it, and especially live on an interview. What better place to do it? Just being real, the authentic experience of how it must have felt, when you were back there, so frustrated, so like hopeless, so feeling lost, so like just what's going on, full of anxiety. And now today you're so free and so fulfilled in doing what you love. It's an incredible transformation. And we have David Camp, who's in the audience, who said Semper Fi. He said, thank you, Jee Hae, for all you have done for our family. We have Sharante, who's saying, I love it. So this is really great stuff. Petya said she loves the flower in your hair as well. So it's awesome. So this is really good. So you went through that experience of saying, I need to clean up my past. I need to work on myself, work on my ability to communicate, to be present, to be with people, and not have all this baggage that I'm carrying. It, let it go, leave it in the past, work on it.
Absolutely. And it's opened so many doors for me, and it's enriched my life in so many ways, because that stuff was holding me back. And as soon as I realized, I put the effort towards it, and I'm reaping the rewards of it, because I am enjoying my job. It's crazy that I get to call it a job, but I'm enjoying my job 100 times more than I ever thought I would, which is crazy, because I loved it in the beginning. And as soon as I mastered the whole personal development stuff, it's crazy that we kept to call master. I don't think you ever really master personal development. But as soon as I did the work, and I just dug in and just was present with my emotions, unpacked all of that stuff, I'm attracting clientele that resonates with that stuff, with that. And with that also, I had to weed out friends and family and even clients that wasn't resonating with my mission, that wasn't resonating with my goals. And that was a hard process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never an easy process. So I've lost a lot of that baggage, but I've gained so much enrichment in the process. And I'm so grateful and so thankful, because I never thought that this would have even been possible. And you never think personal development, leadership training, you never think about that when you think dog training. And so we exist to try to change that, enlighten people, because once you know better, you do better. Yeah. Plain and simple.
I love what you said there about we exist to enlighten people, to educate them. That is such a powerful statement of standing in your power for anyone listening or watching. Like, if you have a statement like, I exist to blank, to do blank, like to fulfill on X mission, Y purpose, what a freaking powerful way to relate to being a human being and why you're here and what your purpose is. So that's phenomenal. I just wanted to share that, and then mixing in the personal development with the dog training. It's just so powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just love what I do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I want to dive more into what we can educate our listeners on in terms of being a better leader, in terms of being a better, just responsible human being with their life, like a powerful, aligned human being, setting those boundaries, self-love. We want to talk about a couple different things today. Just tell us where you think the foundation is, Jee Hae.
Foundation is bringing the puppy home, just like I did. So I've got like a couple of statistics written down just for this very moment. So to put things in perspective, I got to put a number to it. Okay. So about 6.5 million animals, dogs, cats, pets, 6.5 million animals enter the shelter systems in the US. 6.5 million. Out of that, 3.3 million dogs are dogs. 3.2 are cats, right? I'm not even going to touch on cats. I'm a dog trainer. So 44% of all households have a dog in the US. So that's a lot of dog owners. A lot. Okay. So with that, the number one reason why dogs end up in the shelter systems is for behavioral problems. That's the number one complaint. Aside to that, it's problematic behaviors like jumping on people, barking. That's one of the top things that we see a lot. And aggression, we see that a lot too. And then health problems that owners couldn't handle. We get that a lot too. So 1.5 million animals are euthanized every year. Okay. So it really puts you in, it really shines the light of how people like us are needed, of how many dogs and owners out there are suffering, and why dog trainers like us exist. We exist to help this problem. We've got a problem, guys. We want to help. We're here to help. So with that comes education. So I'm actually going to be dropping some strategies here, and for all of our members here live, you pen and paper, have it out, write this down.
Bust it out.
Bust it out, write this down. If you have a dog who is exhibiting problematic behaviors, whatever it is that you don't like, a lot of what we hear is leash pulling, nuisance barking, aggressive behaviors, in whatever form that they take. Okay. One of the first things that we will do is block the pattern, because that's what behaviors are. Behaviors are patterns. And once you start recognizing the patterns, you start predicting patterns. And when we're in the business of changing, of training dogs, we're really in the business of changing behaviors, which ultimately is changing patterns, right? So what you do is you block the ability for the dog to repeat that pattern, whatever it is. This is a blanket statement. It applies to every aspect. Block the dog's ability to self-reinforce, self-reward, and repeat that pattern, because now that pattern's ingrained. Right?
Can you tell us a little bit more about what that would look like practically to block the pattern?
Yeah. So the simplest example I'll use is jumping on people, because we get a lot. My dog jumps on guests. They scratch my grandma and grandpa when they come over. How do I get it to stop? One of the first things we do is block the pattern. Every time somebody comes to the door, the dog jumps on the person. Right. You never get to a point where you say, "Oh, I don't know why he's jumping." Like, he's jumping because he does it every single time, guys. Your dog's done it every single time a person's come to the floor. What do you mean you don't understand? They do it every time. So you put a leash on. I don't know what it is. A lot of times when I bring this strategy up to dog owners, it's like, what? Put a leash on? Like, yeah, put a leash on your dog. Block the dog's ability to self-reward, okay? And then you deliver a correction. And this is something that people struggle with in the dog training world. And we may or may not have people agree or disagree with us. But in the dog training world, there's a lot of what we call propaganda, where this whole thing called the positive reinforcement only training. There's such a thing, okay? They go by different names. It's positive reinforcement only, force free, rewards-based training. So the idea is that if you don't like a behavior, all you have to do is ignore it, and it'll eventually go away. And if the dog does something else, you just go ahead and reward that behavior, and the dog will choose the rewarding behavior over the undesired behavior. Doesn't work like that. You've got kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It does not work like that. You can't ignore a behavior and make it go away. It just doesn't. So in layman's terms, because I can go into the whole science of positive, negative reinforcement, I can go into that stuff. But in layman's terms, in simple terms, guys, for you to stop a behavior, you punish it. For you to increase a behavior, you reward it. Plain and simple. And the value of punishment and reward will determine the likelihood of the dog repeating the behavior or discontinuing the behavior. Okay. So yes, we absolutely do use corrections in our training, but we also don't skip the building blocks where we teach the concepts. We teach the concepts, we introduce these behaviors, the new behaviors, we build repetitions until it becomes habit. But we also got to make the bad behaviors suck a little. So that when it comes time for the dog to choose, they say, hey, you know what? This is absolutely worth my time. This one, not so much. This one, not so much. Because that's how the entire universe operates. It's consequences. Consequences for good actions, consequences for bad actions. That's just how it goes. So I am what we call a balanced trainer, where we use all aspects of reinforcement and punishment to teach the dog right from wrong. And it all starts when the dog comes home, whether or not you're getting a puppy from the breeder or whether or not you're adopting a dog from the shelter. It all starts when the dog comes home, because if you were like me, I was riding with my dog, with my puppy in the seat, and I said to my puppy, I'm going to give you the best life ever. I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to buy you all the toys and give you all the treats and buy you all the bones, right? And that's another reflection of ourselves. The fact that we place value in things. We're trying to buy our dog's love with things, right?
Or it might be a reflection of feeling like I'm not getting enough and I feel like I'm empty. So heck, the best that I can do is fill this puppy's life up with
toys,
joy. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we put so much emphasis in these things that we forget, the best relationship we have are through shared experiences. Not because they bought you that brand new truck, even though some of the best and most lasting and most treasured relationships we have are those that forces us to grow, are relationships that enrich us, are relationships that inspire us, right? And relationships that make us want to do stuff together.
Yeah.
Some of the best relationships ever. So hence, this is where the Adventure Buddy initiative was born. Is because my way of bonding with my puppy was through hiking. We lived in West Virginia. I had nothing else better to do than go to school and hit the trails hiking in West Virginia, because that's really all we had.
Right.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful place. And I feel like the whole first year of my dog's life, we road tripped and we traveled everywhere. And I feel like because of that first year, it really bonded us in a deeper way that most pets are bonded with their owners, because we all love our dogs. We absolutely all do. When it comes between that squirrel and you, guess which one your dog is going to choose. Whichever one is more rewarding.
And oftentimes it's that instant gratification that dogs live in, the moment. I love the moment.
Yep. Whichever one makes us feel the greatest.
Yeah.
That's really what it all comes down to. And so with the Adventure Buddy initiative, I really challenged my dog owners, my tribe, because I was in a funk last year. This is how it all started. I was in a funk last year. I was struggling with I had a handful of clients that didn't resonate with the mission. And I was really, really struggling with. And I had gotten to a point in my career, I'd gotten to a point in my life where I was dreading going to work.
Yeah.
And so that for me was huge for me. I was like, what? I'm not looking forward to a training session. Yeah. I'm dragging my feet. What's going on here? What's happening? Like, I should not feel like this. This is crazy. So that was one of those light bulb moments of like, something needs to change. Yeah. So needless to say, we moved forward and I made it very clear that these clients didn't resonate with my mission.
So what shifted? What did you stand for? What did you say you stand for? What did you say you don't stand for?
It was not being willing to be coachable. Because that's really what I am. I'm a dog trainer, but I'm a coach.
Right. So people weren't willing to follow your process. They said they wanted to do it their way and treat their dogs however they wanted. I was getting
a lot
guidance.
Of pushback. I was getting a lot of, but I'm giving you actionable strategies for a problem that you're telling me, but I'm getting a but. But I don't want to do this. But I don't feel like this is, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So that for me, it wasn't necessarily a reflection on them. It was a reflection of me, because I said, why aren't my clients buying into the training program?
Yeah.
Why aren't they buying into the process? Because you hear it all, learn to trust the process, love the process, find joy in the process. But you don't find joy in the process if you haven't bought into it.
Yeah.
So that there was a gap there. I said, my clients aren't buying into the process. I need to find a way to get them to do that. Yeah. Hence Adventure Buddy initiative. And that was, I needed to take a vacation for that to happen. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I took myself on a 10-day vacation. I went to Seattle, Washington. I was actually attending a training seminar there, but I took 5 days off first. And I went to Seattle and I went whale watching and I met up with a couple of childhood friends and we went hiking and I hopped on the ferry for the first time. I went hiking with my dog. And I reconnected with my why.
Mm.
I reconnected with the whole reason why I became a dog owner.
Yeah.
I reconnected with the whole reason why I loved being a dog owner. And I reconnected with the whole reason why I wanted to be a dog trainer to begin with.
Mm.
I wanted to be a dog trainer to begin with so that people can experience the joy of dog ownership, the wonder of the outdoors, of exploring and experiencing life with your dog, of getting to watch your dog be a dog in nature, running around, swimming, and doing all of that stuff. So I had to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful place. And if you ever get a chance to go to Orca Island, Washington, go for it. Do so. It is amazing. It is a magical place. But I got to reconnect. I took a breather. I took a big step away from life in general, from work, from everything. And I got to just be with myself. I had no one to take care of. I had no one to think about. I had nothing but myself to take care of and my dog. And it was, for a while there, I'm like, it's crazy. I had completely allowed my job to be so encompassing that I forgot to make time for myself.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
I forgot to make time for myself and my own dogs. I allowed everyone to take my time away from me, and I didn't have anything left in the tank for myself and my own personal dogs, which, they weren't struggling as much as I was, but I wasn't prioritizing myself. And that was a reflection of everything, of it, just the frustration around that time period last year, around September last year, was just a reflection of that. I was frustrated that I was spread too thin, and I was giving too much of myself to everyone except for myself, which is funny because my mentor, I'm gonna drop her name because I'm gonna introduce her to you too, Cameron Thompson from Home to Canine Dog Training. I hopped on a strategy call with my mentor, and this is what she told me that was like my huge duh moment, right? She goes, "You're being codependent." I was like, "What? How dare you say that to me? Me? Codependent? I'm an independent woman." She's like, "No, you're being codependent. You love the fact that your clients need you so much that you're always there for them because it made you feel validated."
Yep.
What?
Huge.
It made you feel validated that people needed you so much that they're willing to text you at 9 p.m. at night and you would still text back. I was like, what? And this shone a light on some things that I was doing without even realizing it, because a couple of years ago, I had gotten a slew of clients that was with some serious behavioral issues, guys. I'm talking about dangerous. And I had gotten 4 or 5 of these clients in a row who came to me and said, "If anything happens, will you take my dog for me?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely." Because it felt so validating to be so dependent on that these people would put me on their will for their dog.
Yeah.
Right. And that made me feel great. It made me feel awesome. It was just, in hindsight, it was really kind of selfish. And it's funny because 2 days ago, I'm actually taking the OFA challenge, the one funnel away challenge with Russell Branson. And in one of his videos, he goes, "You'll never exhaust the resources you never knew you had, as long as somebody picks up the slack for you. Wow. You'll never exhaust the resources you never knew you had."
Yeah. Yeah, it's
as long as
like
there's a safety
we're
net.
we have so much potential, we have so much power, but how can we ever activate it if someone else is always like, "Hey, it's okay. Oh, don't worry," and they're like you said, picking up that slack and you know, showing up where we could be showing up, where we could be stepping up into our greatness. So I really love that. It's awesome. So I really want to like boil down into the final takeaways we want our audience to get from this interview, because this is gold. There's so much wisdom. You've had an incredible journey. You're empowering these owners to really connect, communicate, and lead their dogs effectively. So what else does our audience really need to know today, Jee Hae?
Your dog is a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned that today. Your dog is a reflection of you. All the great qualities, all the good qualities, all of the undesired qualities, the stuff that you want to shove in the closet away somewhere.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
so for your dog to be the best version of themselves, because we get this all the time, you have to do the work and be the best version of yourself you can possibly be, whatever form that looks like, whatever it is that looks like. So if we expect so much from our dogs and we expect our dogs to behave greatly and whatnot, you got to do the work. You have to be aware of your habits, the things that you're doing without even thinking, the things that you're not even aware of. You got to dig in and do the work and unpack some of those emotions, because a lot of, believe it or not, we do project our own insecurities onto our dogs. And
Totally.
That's your final takeaway for today.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. So we are a reflection of our pets and our dogs especially, and when we work on ourselves, we create that transformation in the relationship of them, and they show up differently. And I love how this has really been about, like, how do we train our dogs? Well, first it starts with ourselves. It starts with being responsible for ourselves and clearing that stuff out of the way so that we can be the best owner. And like you said at the beginning, I think, like, all we want is to love this animal. All we want is to, you know, give them so much joy and happiness, whether it's coming from a place of like neediness and desperation and trying to fill a hole, or just being a good human being and like being full of love and like, I want to give this animal, this dog, the best life ever. You know, that's really where it all comes from. The motivation that will make a difference in how it actually gets executed, how it actually manifests in the world. It's like, what's the core that's driving that desire? And it's the same thing in life. If we say, hey, you know, I want to be like big and famous and accumulate all this power and be successful and, you know, be in control, then it's probably going to be a really rough, difficult journey with people who like don't want to be around you because you're a narcissist or whatever it might be, versus if the desire to make the impact and be successful and accumulate wealth is so that you can impact people and so that you can be a benefit to your communities and the causes and purposes that are around you, then it'll be a lot easier of a journey, a lot more fulfilling, a lot more rewarding. And we all want more rewarding relationships. So that's that. Let's do it with our dogs. So Jee Hae, this is beautiful. It's amazing. I know there's like, we only scratched the surface of what people can do to really tap into that better relationship with their dogs. But tell our audience how they can stay connected with you, how they can continue to grow themselves and build that relationship with their dog.
Absolutely. Guys, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Space Coast Dog Training. You can follow me on Instagram, Space Coast Dog Training on Instagram, or visit the website, spacecoastdogtraining.com. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Chris, for having me today.
You're welcome. I feel like we need to do a round two. Like this is like personal psychology.
Follow for the follow-up call, but we barely scratched the surface.
I know. It was good though. It was good because like we learned so much about you, and I think like in the future we'll get you back on. I feel like I said at the beginning, this topic that you're bringing to the table, no, I don't think I've had a single dog trainer on. You're the first. You know, 500 plus guests that we've interviewed, and just the spin and the perspective that you bring to it, the wisdom, the personal responsibility and empowerment, psychology. It's absolutely incredible. So I know that we can definitely go deeper. We're going to have to, Jee Hae. You're coming back on. It's decided. All right.
Yes. Yes.
So
This
we'll,
is super fun. Thank you so
we'll
much. This is my first podcast interview too, and it was amazing. You made it.
you're a
You made it
champ.
super.
You're so bold. You're so courageous. You've got this. I'm so excited to see your brand and your impact really grow and see you become a global phenomenon because you got great energy, great presence. The way you deliver is awesome. So Jee Hae, it's a pleasure to be here with you and witnessing your journey. And everyone who's listening or watching, connect with this woman. Have a conversation. If you have a dog, if you have a pet, just like stay connected. See what else that she's delivering on her channels on social media. And Jee Hae, have the best day ever, and we'll see you soon. Okay?
Thanks, sir. Have a good one, Chris.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.